On today's episode, we'll talk about starting out in an optical house, watching the middle of the frame, the Shawshank Redemption, Scent of a Woman, and of course, using your tape measure to keep the set calm. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. This episode is brought to you by the Folex Max. So you want to practice your handheld, Steadicam, or even on the wheels, but you don't have a full-size camera to use? Well, fear not, the Folex Max is here. It allows you to attach your DSLR or other lightweight camera and distribute that weight in a multitude of ways. Now you can practice with a camera cage that feels the same as just about any size professional camera out there. For more information, check out folexmax.com. And as an added bonus to listeners, mention this podcast and you'll receive $100 off on your order. That's FAUXLEXMAX.com. Finally, if you enjoy this podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Live it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I'm Dave Comides, your host, and I'm coming to you from lovely Providence, Rhode Island, where I'm actually working on a feature with today's guest, Mr. Eric Swanek. Eric is a phenomenal and well-known first AC who has been around and done a couple of things. Some of the things that he's worked on, but by no means all, because I think your IMDb is like 130 some things on it. American Gangster, Meet the Parents, You've Got Mail, The Shawshank Redemption, Scent of a Woman, and I would be remiss without saying that you worked on 3 ABC after-school specials, which younger people won't understand, but it tickles me to know that, especially considering you're such a phenomenal AC and you working on ABC after-school specials. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I think.
Yeah, we'll know afterwards. ABC After School Specials, we were just talking about this. So this was like, I remember Lindley told me this was like a big thing back then.
Well, both he and I, John Lindley, of course, we're talking about. I've worked a number of movies with John and have heard of him when I started. We were both in a different union at the time called NABIT, National Association of Broadcast Engineers and Technicians, which still exists, but it's specifically for television stations now.
No, I didn't know that. I thought it had sort of gone away. So you mean like local news and stuff like
ABC
that?
is one NABIT, CBS is another NABIT.
Oh, okay.
NBC, They all had their own, I don't know what the status on NABIT is at this point. What wound up happening is when I started, I went to film school. And when I graduated film school, I had already been a PA on commercials, and most of the commercials I was working on were NABIT commercials. The IA commercials were not with the people that I knew.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of stay with the people you know. And a lot of times what it was is that IA at the time was a much more closed union in New York. It was a smaller business, as I know you're talking with John Lindley about. It was harder to get into the IA. So you needed to have someone, a close familiar connection. You know, we're in a strange business. It's not like you turn on a TV. In the past, you wouldn't really see behind-the-scenes stuff.
No, I mean...
you didn't really know how movies were made unless it was a movie about movie making. Like Singing in the Rain is one of my favorite for this. Singing in the Rain shows you the transition from silent to sound films. So you see the progress of technology and their experiments, like where the microphone's placed is one of my favorite little bits. Is they have a giant microphone, they put it in the flower, and they turn away, and it's off pattern. And
I forgot about that.
And if you're paying attention in that scene, the camera's actually in the actual
it's in a room,
hot
right?
box. It's in a hot box where the glass, they're shooting through glass.
Yeah.
You see the camera, you see the assistant and the operator behind glass because the cameras were really noisy.
Yeah.
So this is way before they blimped cameras. They were still experimenting, but you see that going on, and it's
pretty cool.
It is really cool. Having seen it after it'd been in business for a while, it was just mind blowing. Like, wow, it's a love story to filmmaking.
Oh yeah.
And it's wonderful.
So did you come from a film family? I mean, how'd you get into film?
My father is Dick Swanek. He was a very well respected. He had an optical house with 6 other partners. They had an optical house. An optical house, for those of you that came up in the digital generation, was where you did your titles and your optical effects. In the very beginning, they even did like crossfades, cross dissolves in post. And if you watch old Fred Astaire movies, you actually see the film will be going through. You'll see a change in quality of the film where they actually did the cross dissolve because they did not A/B roll the negative.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So I still remember, especially things on videotape, is effects look, after many generations of duplicating them, they look like crap.
Yeah.
Like if you saw Star Wars on VHS, after a while you could see the garbage mats where they were like 4 or 5 frames worth of the spaceship flying through the air, where over time and duplication the contrast changes, so you could actually see these garbage mats jumping before the spaceship.
But back then it was like its own piece of film, basically?
Well, you shot green screen,
yeah.
or blue screen,
yeah.
And then eventually the way that blue screen works is the blue of the blue screen was the same color dye as the negative film.
Yep.
So if you photographed it correctly, one of the layers of film would have the characters on black or on clear. I'm trying to remember which way it was. It would be on black, so it's self-matting. However, with time, the matte would, with the duplication, the contrast would change and it would start to get gray. Okay. So they would put a garbage mat there to protect that back area. Uh-huh. And when you saw Star Wars in 70 millimeter or on an early print, you never noticed this, but you watched it on television or you saw it on VHS, duplicated, you could see the garbage mats moving around.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. So your dad worked for a company that did this?
He was one of the 7 partners at an optical house called The Optical House in Manhattan. They used to do the main and end titles for Woody Allen. Every year, Woody would do 2 movies a year. So there's Woody Allen Spring Project and Woody Allen Fall Project. So they always had that material. They used to do the Ford commercials.
Is this like a big Oxbury, like one of those huge...
Yeah, they had...
Or something
they had
like that.
5 optical printers.
Wow.
Including one that... a genius named Brand Farron, who started out as a lighting designer and designed lighting for like Foreigner and a number of rock bands. He a true genius. If Phil Gashevsky, who's now one of the technicians over at TCS, who's everybody in New York he is the favorite guy if we have any questions about anything camera related. Of course, Ray Emmerich was the man before at Panavision, but Ray's passed 15 years ago, and everyone goes to Phil for the ARRI things, and he's wonderful. He started out with Brand Farron out in Long Island. The other thing Brand did is when Evita, they needed, for the Broadway show Evita, there are a number of multimedia screens that are on stage, and they needed to have a very short throw, perfect projector. And Brand basically designed and built custom-made projectors.
Wow. That
would have a very short throw, fill the screen, and never need maintenance as far as he was concerned. Because once he built it, he didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Him again.
So he came up with an optical printer set up for my father, for my father's company. And the whole optical printer, instead of being on a lathe bed for stability, it was like basically on a air hockey table. The whole thing was lifted off and free floating, so subways going by or traffic.
Oh, that's right.
Wouldn't
Because it'd be
affect.
perfectly still. Oh, that's amazing.
Right. The precision in an optical printer is pretty ridiculous.
Pretty specific, yeah. Oh, that's cool.
With this printer, they used to do the commercial for some hair product. It was a shampoo. It's like, you'll be so excited about this that you'll tell somebody, and it does a split screen into two identical
I remember
images.
this. Yep.
And they'll tell somebody, and then they'll
yeah.
tell somebody. Now, the max you could do previous to this optical printer was like 6 wide images, and with this, because it was even more stable, they were able to go like 16 wide.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Right, because it's so precise. Right.
It's so funny that you say that, though, because the subway, I don't even think about that. But of course, that would be a huge problem in New York.
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, did you always want to be in film? I mean, like, were you a kid who was in?
I got to get back to because that's what he did.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was the chief layout man. He was the guy. He was the problem solver. Mm-hmm. And he was also, still is a real people person. So people would come in, they'd say, I need to do this. How do I do this? And he goes, I got you. Basically, he would walk them through the elements that he would need, and then produce a result.
Which you clearly got from him having worked with you, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I say that I have an engineer's mind. He has an engineer's mind. My son Tyler, who's my second right now, has an engineer's mind. Yeah. And my other son is actually an engineer.
So there you go. So he hopefully has an engineer's mind
you would
as
hope.
well.
He's on a level that's different from ours. So basically, I have three older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4. And during the 70s and 80s, each one of us would work for our father in the summer. He would bring us into New York, and we would work as messengers. So we'd be bringing film from the optical house to the different editorials, or going to one of the 7 or 8 film labs that were in New York at the time.
Is this 35 millimeter film?
Yeah, well, they did 16 as well.
16.
But yes.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
I'm 15 years old, walking through the city.
This is 1970s, or what is this?
Yeah, this is I graduated high school in 78, so it was probably 75, 6, 7, 8 that I was doing it.
It was a different New York than
it was very,
now.
Go on a movie lab, which is where the old camera service center was, which is now not where Camera Service Center is by 2 places, was 54th and between 10th and 11th, and you had to go through Hell's Kitchen.
Which was sketchy.
Yeah. It was sketchier.
Yeah.
And there was Beeble was on the west side. You had to cross 9th Avenue. Mm-hmm. And for a kid from Long Island and New Jersey to go into those sections, I didn't. I'm always been a big kid, but like I hadn't been experienced in Latin American culture. It's like, but there was always an ice guy that was on 9th Avenue with a towel over a big block of ice, and he would
like chiseling off. Oh, that's great.
It had it almost was like a plane. They would scrape the ice and would shave it.
That's great.
And then they had all these flavors, and I had no idea what they were. It's like I'll try the red one or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was always in the summer. It was great. But basically, being a young kid, it's like I would do what the expediter asked me to do. I go to the lab, drop it off. Go to here, go drop it off. Go to this editor over here, come back. And it gets hot in the summer. Mm-hmm. And it felt like I was doing all the runs. They had other expediters, but they were, that was their job. Yeah. Full time. And, I'm a young kid. I'm back and forth like as fast as my legs can take me. And I found out, there was a Coke machine at the back of the place. It was like 25 cents for a can of Coke. And the art department was right there. And the art department was, Dick Rao was running it, who passed about 2 years ago. He wound up teaching painting at the New York Botanic Garden after he retired. But everybody in the art department was, the 3 men and the 1 woman. They were like not your suit and tie types. They were like long hair. They were artists, and the kind of people that pick up a rapidograph while they're taking, they're on the phone talking to somebody, And a rapidograph is a very fine point. It's almost like a ultra fine Sharpie, but it's ink.
Okay.
And just while they're on the phone, they're doodling stuff, and it's all beautiful.
Absentmindedly. My daughter's like this.
Just absolutely like
the
stunning.
stuff that she crumples up, I'm like pulling out of the trash. You can't get out of it. Yeah.
So they had, they would be setting type. They had, basically what wound up happening is I'm back there and I'm watching them, and they say, hey, you want to see something cool? And I'm like, sure. They had a reproduction camera on a lathe bed that could take 11 by 17 sheet film. Because a lot of times you'd have to have some kind of artwork that you needed. And they had all these giant books that had line art. And you could put it up on a stand, and you have this giant reproduction camera that could extend out about 3 feet from... Oh, the bellows was like 3 feet long. Wow. So you could take a piece of art that's maybe 3.5, 4 inches, and you could blow it up to fill this whole thing up. And you set it up, you're looking at the ground glass, everything's upside down, you check your focus, you turn off the lights, you put the film on it, you close the door, you have one of those like high school basketball clocks that's attached to, they're actually for lighting. You hit the button, the light comes on for like 20 seconds of exposure because the film speed is so slow. Lights go out, you put the sheet film back into the box, you go into the darkroom, you put it into that first dip tank, and you start agitating it. And this film is daylight, safe light compatible, so you have an orange light on. Mm-hmm. And you just agitating it, and out of nowhere, this image just comes up. And it's literally a white line on black now. It's a negative, but watching that come up from nothing, it's one of the most magical experiences you could see. It's not like if you're doing 35 millimeter, you're shaking a little can, you're doing a little maracas thing, but this is watching a whole sheet of film just appear in front of your eyes, and there's nothing more magical than that.
It's so funny that you say this, because when I was a kid, my dad had a dark room in the basement, which scared the bejesus out of me because it was dark and there were spiders everywhere.
Yeah.
But I would go down there and we, I remember being, agitating and watching it and just watching the image appear and sort of trying to guess what it would be and this and that and the other, because of course you didn't see it before you saw it. And I'm convinced that that's a large reason of why I'm in film, because that was such a cool thing. That's fantastic.
That was the start of it. And then what happened is I was in I joined a group in high school that they were called the Jerseymen. My neighbor a couple doors down, Laura Stanley, ran it, and they wanted to do this documentary about the town, and her brother worked for the local cable station, so she had access to black and white portable video cameras. And portable, I'm really air quoting this thing. Yeah. So they would go out and they'd shoot talking head interviews with people talking about the Lenni Lenape, which was the Indian group that lived in our area. Mm-hmm. I joined the Jerseymen because there was a cute girl I wanted to see.
It always comes back.
It always comes back, as most things in life
and
do.
And we thank her wherever she is.
Well, we also thank the girl who I wound up dating, who was in the Jerseymen. So
okay, well there you go.
I made a better choice at that point. So they heard that we had a Bolex camera, and we had my dad had a 16 millimeter Bolex, one lens, and they said, "Oh, you'd like to get some color in there? Can we borrow the camera?" I'm like, "Sure." So we shot some exteriors, just show all of that kind of stuff, and I'm helping out as much as I can. And then I realized they're going to need titles for this. I could ask them if I could do the titles for this, because this would be a great thing to, for me, it'd be a great learning experience to work in the art department for a couple weeks with all these cool people and learn what it is they do. And my dad said, sure. The expediter's not really put out because he's helping my dad out by hiring his sons. Sure. And we all, New York City is wonderful and all that kind of stuff. So they showed me how to do it. So I did the entire thing from actually making each letter with a giant, basically optical Dymo label maker.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then doing the mechanical of cutting letters together and kerning them if the letters have too much visual space in them. Oh, it's all done with, glue sticks and acid
I can see,
cells.
though, being as specific as you are, this thing's right up your alley.
And
they must have been totally psyched because they're getting this amazing thing that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Oh,
right?
they had no idea what it was. They were like, "Oh, your dad does that?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm going to do it."
That's fantastic.
But they let me do, at the optical house, they let me do everything. Like, not only did I make the art, they're like, "Well, now you have to use the animation stand to actually do the crawl."
Yeah.
And then they said, "This is what we need from you. You need to write the sheet up for what the crawl's going to be." So going through the whole process of, learning what the worksheet is, starting at frame 0000, how many frames of a fade in and how many do one pass that's the background, because I picked a nice eagle with a shield, and that's in the background. We had the crawl going up over it. So it's a double exposure. And I also had to program, they had one of the first computer-controlled animation stands where the computer would do the crawl for you, but you had to program it in. You had to program in a fade in and, a start of the roll and an end of the roll.
It's so funny because that must have taken a tremendous amount of work back then, and now it's two strokes of a keyboard or whatever. That's wild.
I literally asked my dad about it because they did a documentary about Norman Rockwell, and it was one of the first times they really used this. They had a lot of Norman Rockwell's original paintings, and they put them on the animation stand, and they would do zooms on them.
Okay.
So you do a complex, start out on the wide shot of the family at Thanksgiving, and then you push in onto the turkey.
Early Ken Burns kind of thing, yeah.
But I asked him how they used to do it, and he said it used to take 4 or 5 people, because one guy would be moving the camera down to do a zoom, and then you have one guy doing the XY axis, doing wheels, and another guy doing the one's doing the X-axis, one's doing the Y-axis, and one guy's doing this. You didn't have to focus it because there was a cam on the camera. Yeah. That would do focus. So he just had to move it the same amount each time.
As he moved it in, it would turn the focus wheel at the same time.
Yes. It was it was a cam similar that was on the side of a BNC, if you've ever seen it.
The rack over, yeah.
For the side finder.
Yeah.
As you focus closer, it would correct
it would correct for it. Yes, I see what you're saying.
On the BNC it would, but this would actually do the focus.
That's amazing.
But you used to have guys that would be like, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees.
With the wheel.
Turning it.
And they've got to totally be in sync to get to where they want to go.
The camera would do 1 frame at a time. It would be, 5 degrees, 5 degrees.
Sure.
5 points, 5 points, 5 points. But if anyone screwed up, boom, you got to start all over again.
Wow.
And some of the jobs could take 4 or 5 hours to do.
I can't even begin to tell you how I could not do that. I would lose my mind.
That's correct. But
that's amazing.
They had this computer that was the size, not quite this, it was about a foot shorter than a standard fridge.
Yeah.
And it just had 8 lights on it.
Like 64 kilobytes of memory or something like that.
No, not even.
That's great. That's amazing.
So I had to learn how to program my part of that to do the crawl. I was already into computers at that point, as much as you can be. So here at the very end of it, we had this little documentary with black and white, like VHS quality interviews, a couple of colorful shots of the town, and then this end title scene that looked amazing.
Do you still have a copy of this?
No. No, I gave it right to them because they had to put it on their telecine to transfer it.
That's great though. But so was this one of the things where you're like, I got the bug now?
Well, then it was like, then I'm a senior in high school. I didn't really take any pictures. I had a still camera. I took some pictures sometimes with a Jerseyman. But the senior year, it's like, I have a camera and let me see what it's like to take pictures. So I volunteered to work on the yearbook, and I'd go out and do assignments, and I had a 50 millimeter lens on that. But I went out and bought a 70 to 210 zoom lens, and I filmed the girls' field hockey. I got some, shots here and there. I'd go to football games and get some shots there. They had like a professional that would shoot all the color, but they give you a couple rolls of film and like go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to say that I have like 7 or 8 pictures in the yearbook. It's like, so I did pretty good for a kid that just basically picked up a camera.
Didn't know what he was doing.
Fell into it. So it was time to look for colleges, and it's like, what do you want to go to school for? And I'm like, I don't know. Film? Really, just having seen stuff at the optical house and never having been on a set. And so I went to NYU, applied and got in as a freshman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Was it Tisch or
it was before Tisch?
It was before Tisch.
Right.
And actually going back, were you a film buff as a kid? I mean, were you into films or just? I mean,
not like no.
Yeah.
This is the interesting thing for me, because my first year I had to commute because I applied late. And first year you did still photography, so you learned about the zone system, which really helps with exposure. Before that, still cameras, you have your built-in metering. The second semester was Super 8 photography, filmmaking. So the thing for me that was wonderful is one of the other required classes in freshman year is film history. And, you see things progress from... We had... We used to joke about the class, but in reality, there was so much information I learned from that. Just storytelling, basic storytelling, the Podofkin, looking at Eisenstein and Odessa's steps, the Podofkin with the experiment of a man's face just looking straight into the camera, and then cut to a woman dying, his mother dying in bed supposedly, and you empathize with him because he's mourning his mother. You see a plate of food. Oh, he's hungry. It's like the fact that you can influence people's thought processes with something like that is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's manipulation. I mean,
Spielberg is a master at it. Every time you watch something that he does, you're going like, man, wow, I'm sitting here crying. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, the end of E.T. I'm a shambles. I'm just falling apart.
Yeah.
And my little Super 8 films reflected all of the lessons I learned. I still have them, and no.
You got to transfer them.
No, I really don't want to revisit them. But you see the influence of cross cutting, and they would give you assignments, and it's like same thing with Sight and Sound, which was the sophomore year you did Sight and Sound. And
when I got there, Sight and Sound was freshman year. It was Sight and Sound film, and then Sight and Sound video. So
I was in the last class that Haig Manoogian was teaching. Haig was
wow.
He was the famous teacher that Marty Scorsese and Spike Lee and But like Scorsese used to edit, I think it was Mean Streets, and Haig had a flatbed editor in his basement of his house, of his apartment.
That's great.
So the story was that Marty would be editing there. And if I'm wrong, Marty, please forgive me. This is a story we tell at NYU when I was there. One of the things that makes me sad is there is no like Manoogian school of filmmaking. It's like he was the guy that, as far as I know, was the heart of the program. And so many people learned filmmaking from him. All the early
people that came out of those years,
right.
Incredible. Yeah.
So my second year in school, what wound up happening is 2 kids that really, really grew up being cinema people. Greg Goldstone is one of them. He was later in AD, and Alistair Salton were the 2 guys across the hall from me that came in as freshmen on my junior year. I finally got in a dorm.
What dorm were you in?
Weinstein Center for Student Living.
You're in Weinstein, okay. Yeah, that's where we used to eat.
At Joe's Cafe.
No, but Weinstein, when I got there, had it was one of the dorms that had a cafeteria.
Yeah.
And
it was right on Waverly and University,
Yep.
so it's like close to all the buildings.
right across from Washington Square Muse. Washington Muse?
Yes.
Washington
My
Muse.
room looked down the Muse.
Really?
I was on the second floor. It was
That's
like,
cool.
oh, it was
That's pretty
fantastic. So these two guys came in. They put them in. They had 8mm first semester, and they were given like one roll of film, and they turned out like a 6-minute movie about a guy who's depressed, and he has flashbacks in color about when he was dating this woman and the whole thing. And it's like, they were friends with actors, so they had real actors in it, and it's silent.
Yeah, but they made
It's like 6 minutes long.
It's like everybody else was making the project, and they were making a real
Yes.
short film, basically. Yeah.
So they immediately got moved up. And we would hang out together, and Alistair Salton wound up shooting I think it was a Nissan Awards for student film making. He shot the movie that won in his year. And I learned a lot from those guys too, because they kind of, everyone's like, oh, Al's this great cameraman. It's like, well, I could do some of that. And
Yeah.
so I'd be shooting, additional cameras for things that they did, or these were the guys. The film that I directed, he was my cameraman, and Greg was my mixer on that. And just making films. So that was that year. The next year, I met a young woman, Robin Schreer, who had a script, and each year in junior narrative you had to do you had to work on something, and nobody wanted to work with her for some reason. It's like, I liked her story. It's very cliquey. I don't.
People get weird. I know. Believe me. I know.
So here she had this small story, and it's like, I would like to work with you on this. So together, I shot it. We co-edited it. We mixed it. I did the main and end titles, of course. And we went all the way from a script to an answer print in a semester, which like very rarely happens. Yeah. And we knew it was not going to be a great film, but I'm sorry, Robin, I don't know. I was trying to help you make it as good a film as I could, but I'm not the great director. I'm not the great writer. It would be great to hear from her. But we worked together on this thing, and it was a really great experience. And to take a project from, and I even cut the negative on it.
Wow, I did one movie that's a frightening thing to do.
I had an optical house that cut my negative.
Well, that's true. Okay, maybe not for you. For us, it was.
We used to go in and play, and my dad would say, let's give him something to do. So we'd be hot splicing film together. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Where you had to scrape some of the negative off the film. You put the thing in.
Yeah, I suspect you were better at it than we were. But
we're like 12 and doing it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That was great.
So we took a project the whole way through, and I learned, the whole thing, just end-to-end learning experience, and it was amazing doing everything together. There's so many levels, so many different, skills you have to have, and it's just amazing to see how it all goes together.
Was it that because in a short amount of time you actually got to see it go from nothing to becoming something to what it finished, as opposed to just being in the middle and doing a piece of it? Was it sort of being able to craft the entire thing? Yeah.
We were making a film, and it's like, most people, you get to a certain point, we got to hire someone to cut the neg. We got to hire someone to do titles. Or we could shoot crappy titles, not that there's anything wrong. It's like, but sometimes you get a title. I worked on one of the films, and the guy's titles almost looked like a kidnapping
The ransom note.
The ransom note, yeah. It was like letters kind of...
I'm guessing it wasn't supposed to look like that. Yeah.
Well, I had typesetting skills.
Yeah, I'm saying his thing. But, there you go. Well, that's... So, is that sort of when you were like, oh, I've got the bug and this is something I really want to do?
Yeah, just the camaraderie on a set. You're sitting there, you're all working together. And then I met other friends in other years that... the two guys were like meteoric rise, and I met other people in the class below me, and what wound up happening my last semester there is the teacher did not. We had a new filmmaking teacher, and he did not approve of most of the projects in the school. He's supposed to, in his class, he was supposed to have like 6 or 7 projects. I think he approved 2. So it's like, and you only got credit if you were the cameraman, the director, the mixer, or the editor.
Wow.
So it's like, well, how do the rest of us get credit for this class?
If there aren't enough films going.
And I think I wound up going to the head of the department, and I worked on like everybody else's film. Mm-hmm. And either was a camera assistant, or even then as a camera assistant on a student film, of course, mechanical things come easily to me, so I'd have the mags loaded. You only have like 2 mags, so it's really not that hard.
Not a big deal, yeah.
So once the camera was ready, I'd be helping out with the lighting. And so you'd walk up to the camera, and he's the only one there. There's no gaffer. And you just kind of go, so what are you thinking here? Are you going to key from over here? Okay, let me get that for you. Yeah. And go and run power and get that. And then you want to fill from anywhere? And like, look, I was learning my trade and learning.
And by the way, even hearing you say that, learning skills that would help you down the line.
Yeah.
Of how to suggest something that needs to be done without saying
it. The art of asking a question, which is actually a suggestion.
Yes.
Like you've told me the story with John Lindley.
Yep, John Lindley has never asked me a question. He tells me things, and his voice goes up at the end. Yes, so
it's right, but it's also sometimes I'll ask a question that sounds like it's out there, but then it's what's the question behind the question, as you've asked.
Yes, as we all
and
have. Yeah.
What it'll do is it'll get the head spinning.
Yeah.
To think and then you can feel the tumblers going into the right mode and going, I have an idea, let's do this. Because we're here to support.
Yeah.
That's a big part. In professional situations, I don't want to overstep my bounds or make someone uncomfortable that I'm telling them what to do. All I can do is offer my assistance.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a lesson I kind of learned early on with working. And also by that point, third year of film schools, I took a class called sound editing. It's like sounded interesting. The person who taught it is J.J. Linsalata, who was a small commercial producer, director kind of person. So the first day of the class, he comes in, he has the cigarettes, which you can't do anymore, like a pack of cigarettes and 2 New York regular coffees, milk and 2 sugar.
That's so great.
He comes in
the little Greek coffee
oh yeah, it is our pleasure to serve you.
Yeah.
sits on the desk in the front and lights up his first cigarette and goes, okay, some of you may know that I am a commercial, I do commercials in New York. I'm producing or I'm involved in commercial making. Just let it be known that I've never hired anyone from the class.
Let's get it out of there right now.
Let's get it out there right now. So the second class, there may be 15 people in the class.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that thought they were going to, ingratiate their way in. And it was a really fantastic class for me because I'd never worked with sound like this. And again, it's a mechanical aspect. You were physically cutting 16mm soundtracks.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd get an assignment like, here is 5 takes of this commercial. And it's a voice-only commercial.
Okay.
So everyone has the same take. And he says, okay, what I want you to do is use this line from this take, this line from that take, this line from that take. And so everybody has to cut it together. And then it's like, oh, go through and cut out all the cut out all. And the whole year was working on these takes and just keeping track of the trims, which God knows how he did them. But basically molding this into a good piece of sound.
Yeah.
But also learning, like, if you're doing sound and picture, all the information on the start mark when you're seeing dailies. You have the X with the hole in it, and then you see the number starting countdown, and it doesn't go to 1, for God's sakes, people. Ends at 2. There's the whole picture start, and you go through, and each one of those symbols on each page means something. There's a 16, which means that's where a sound for 16 millimeter is offset.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because the sound reader's in front of the picture. And then there's another one that says 35, which is the 35 offset, because it's the same number, it's the different number of perfs, but it's how you lace the projector.
Oh, that's interesting. I never, yeah.
So the sound is ahead of the picture, because the sound pickup is in front. Is later in the
So it's got to be offset in order to sync up correctly. Yeah.
So you learn all of those things. And before the class ended, I was working as a PA for him.
So you were the one that actually got hired.
I was the one that got hired.
Well done.
And it's not like I was asking to be hired. He just saw that I paid attention.
But I guarantee you that if you had been, you would have been the person who was hired. He just saw something in you, obviously,
that someone that was paying attention and could be quiet, and knew what he was doing. And so I started working with him for commercials, and I met, $60, $75 a day kind of stuff.
You're talking about just a standard PA. I mean,
standard PA.
Running and doing whatever. No, but you're on set, though. It's your first time on set. Yeah,
but most of the time we'd be driving around, picking up the curtains, picking up the furniture, and all this kind of stuff. And then getting to the set was a closed space. There was a cameraman, you had the assistant, you had the boom person. So I'd be offset.
Gotcha.
But asking all the grips, all the electrics, what do you do? What is it? How's the stand work? How does this work? Learning my knots. One electric gave me the Boy Scout book of knots, but he also had he talked about, they had this giant book of knots that he and his family on vacations, they'd sit there and pry some of these new knots.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, it's a mechanical thing. I got to master it.
Of course I could. And I have this image of you going, oh great, I'm going to go home and just tying knots all night to get them. Well,
you really only need the 3 to be a filmmaker. You need the bowline, you need the clove hitch, and you need a Teamster hitch. Those are the 3 that you need for most things. What?
It's such an Eric Swanek answer.
It's the standard thing. Tyler still can't tie any of these friggin' knots, which really bothers me.
And you're still using him. He's been warned.
Then you got the monkey's fist.
He's pulling knots out of his pocket right now.
Well, no, it's attached to my I have a monkey's fist on my Micra, on my Leatherman Micra. I have.
That's great.
It's either it's a snake or a cobra. I always get confused because they both are reptiles.
All right, wait. Before I forget, Tyler can't tie what? Which one's going to tie? Because later on tonight, when we're working, I'm going to ask him to tie me.
Every time I teach the kids how to do knots, he's like, I forget this one. I'm like, Tyler, for God's sakes. But it's great to know knots. If you're you go into somebody's step van and there's no ratchet straps, you can tie a Teamster hitch.
Well, I mean, there's no downside to knowing that throughout your life. Yeah.
That takes me through, high school.
So you're a PA on this thing. Are you at this point? Do you have any idea of like, I want to be in camera, or I want to be a grip, or I want to be? I mean, are you?
I mean, grip and electric is fascinating, but you saw the guy at the head of the spear.
Yeah.
You see the camera assistant, and it's technical. It's interesting. I always had an affinity for cameras. There was something about camera that was drawing, and in the old days, some of the camera stuff was pretty wacky. The BL1, BL2 were. I'd be on a set, and you'd see the camera assistant melt down if they asked him to put on the zoom lens and the blimp housing. And to me, when I actually had my hands on it, if you ever saw the Professional 16/35 millimeter handbook by Vernon Sylvia Carlson, which was the Bible back then. Yeah, I could still name the names.
I'm sure.
The page on the BL1 with a blimp housing was really intimidating. It had like 95 little arrows pointing to different parts. But when you physically get your hands on it, it's like, oh, this makes sense, because things make sense in my head. So to watch somebody just melt down, it's like, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
Which is, the kick in the butt, because, my cameraman friend across the hall and in college was everyone saying, oh, he's this great camera. I can do that. It's like, it's a skill I could learn up to a point, of course. It's not like a philosophy. I didn't say I'm not going to let anything mechanical beat me. Yeah. It's just that I have an affinity for mechanical things, and seeing a camera is.
But I will say that I think there's also something about having worked with you and us getting thrown curveballs, which is what working is. Yeah. That the big part of it is, like, you don't necessarily, nobody has all the answers all the time. Mm-hmm. But you realize, I've watched you do this, you realize that the answer is out there, and you just have to figure out what it is, and you don't have a meltdown. You don't let emotion overtake that, because if that comes in, then suddenly you're not thinking clearly anymore. So I've watched you rationalize these things through, and I think that's a really solid power. That especially on a set where everything's chaos, mm-hmm. and usually when things aren't going well, it's even worse chaos. And it's just like, no, let's just backwards engineer this. We'll break this down, and there's your answer. And,
it's a big thing.
But that's clearly part of your personality, I think. That it's not... And I guess what I'm getting at is, I suspect that that's not something that you learned and has made you accomplished. It's something that you had that allowed you to become accomplished. Would you agree?
I'd love to say no. I was told when I was little I used to bite my friend who was the next door neighbor. And
do you want to apologize right now in case he's listening?
Matthew McCord, I'm sorry.
There you go.
But we were like 4 or 5,
but
something
still,
like that.
It's nice to.
But I remember how that name popped in my head. I don't know.
That's pretty impressive.
But I remember my mom saw me do it one time, or I guess the one time. She came over, gave me a smack. She told me the story. I wrote this in one of my high school things. It's like things I learned. Mm-hmm. So the next time I got mad, I got really, really mad, and I looked at him, and I knew I couldn't bite him, so I went over and bit my tricycle tire. This is what my mom tells me, so it's like...
fantastic.
And the taste of rubber is not great.
So you weren't doing that again.
So I was going to control that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's a really great image. And very, very logical.
Very logical.
How did you get into camera then? Did you just start talking to people and saying, I'd like to, camera PA or something? Or
there were no camera PAs.
There weren't really, right? Basically, you jump in as a loader at some point?
Well, you wanted to be in a union. I never did a non-union job. Once I was in the union, I day played on this or that. Yeah. That people call and you go, okay. What wound up happening is, I watched these guys, and like at lunch, I remember asking, is it possible that I could look in your toolkit? Because everybody had the black electrician's toolkit, the Telco toolkit. And they're like, sure, don't take anything. You open it up and it's magical. What are all these tools for? And you ask the camera assistant. Everybody was always willing to talk to you about things if you were interested. Like talking to the electrics, I understand power distribution to an extent. Understand grip, flagging to an extent. Understand how to set flags because it's a mechanical thing. I gotta figure that out. I'm not going to be hanging fly swatters. No, that's not for me. But I wound up on one of these non-union things. I wound up being the best boy on a job. They already had a second assistant, so but we need a guy. That's a little more advanced. So as a PA, I would ask the camera assistants, like, would you be willing to sponsor me if I were to or would you be willing to put in a good word so I could go to the rental houses to learn the camera so I could get into the local?
Oh, so you even needed someone to get you into the camera houses. You couldn't just walk in there back
You couldn't
then?
just, no. Well, and Panavision was right out.
Oh, really?
Panavision was locked.
That was like the elite. You had to...
Back then, Panavision was the feature film
Yeah.
rental house.
Yeah, it was mostly features, yeah.
Mostly features. Ariflex, there was Camera Service Center, Camera Mart, Furco.
F&B Furco. Wow.
No, F&B Seco.
F&B Seco of Furco.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Furco was Film Equipment Rental Company.
F&B Seco was where we rented our doorway dolly from for, and it was a big deal because it was like, whoa, we have a dolly for a student film. F&B Seco.
So there were like 6 different rental houses in New York. So they say, sure, just go there and ask for this person and tell them I sent you.
Mention my name, yeah.
So I'd go in, ask them for a camera to look at, and I have my book, and I'd be going over the camera, and then before the day was over, I'd say, I'll be right back. I'd go find a liquor store, get a case of beer, bring it back, and put it on the table and say, would it be possible to come back later? And the answer tended to be yes. Yeah. You're kind, you're courteous. I don't make a mess.
No.
And I'm showing my gratitude.
Sure.
I'm not going to slip you a $20 bill. It's like, beer is friendship. Nothing makes a man feel like a man.
That's
like having a bottle of Bohemian Subs.
No, but there's a lot to be learned from that. That's absolutely
I got to learn a lot of the cameras, and when I graduated, just before Tish bought the building, I finished in the spring semester. I went out and I applied at NABIT and at the IA to get the union. I was technically already partially in the IA because when I was working for my dad, I had to join the Screen Cartoonist Guild.
Okay, which was like an offshoot, another part of IA.
It's another part. It's a different local in the IA. Yeah. And my dad knew the president of that section. And he's like, do you want me to make a phone call and have them transfer you from that IA? And I said, Dad, all the commercials I've done have been NABIT. I don't know anybody in the IA. He had some Marine Corps buddies that were operators in the IA. And he's like, it's like, Dad, I don't want to go in on your shirt tails.
Yeah.
I want to,
do it yourself. Yeah.
Right. And I knew people in NABIT. So, I joined NABIT. And of course, I didn't work right away as a camera assistant.
So when you joined NABIT, you're a camera assistant? Is there a classification?
There were 3 there was loader, second, and first. The loader, they never really. One of the guys I wound up working with for a long time, Glenn Kershaw, was listed as a loader.
Kershaw, I know Glenn very well.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. You're gonna have to send him my love to him. There was a loader category, but we didn't really have loaders, and at the time, you had to test to get in. So there was
That was my next question. So you still had the test back then?
Oh, no, the test was big.
Yeah.
I mean, the final question on the IA test, of course, was who's your father, brother, uncle? On the NABIT test, it was a multi-page written test that they said could take up to 5 or 6 hours to do. Oof. But I had just finished film school, so it took me 45 minutes.
Great.
Because I also retain a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a practical, and at the time there were 14 cameras on the practical.
Wow.
Everything from a Arri 16S all the way up to the Panaflex G2 at the time.
And you had to load mags and thread them, or
you had to build the camera.
Wow.
Load a mag. Well, build the camera, put a lens on. And a map box, load a mag, lace the camera. And you only had 25, 30 minutes to do it.
And are there a bunch of you in the room doing this at the same time? Or?
Okay. Yeah. There were 14 stations. Yeah, this was tended to be at Panavision because Panavision wasn't going to send their cameras to another rental house.
Okay, yeah.
So there'd be 14 stations and there'd be 25 people there to do it. And the only camera I failed was the Mitchell Mark II, which was set up in a high-speed setup, which was interesting. So you had to build the camera, then you had to put the motor on this. You had to put the motor on it, and then you had to put the variac on the side of it because it only ran on AC.
Oh my gosh!
And the only reason I failed it is because, unlike the Panaflex, you don't manually pull the registration pin back in. You inch the camera through, and the registration pin drops back in.
Drops on its own.
Drops on. So I was sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to make it move. And one of the nice things is the person that sponsored you would always give you hints, like they would give you the BL and a Mitchell head, a Worrell head. Mm-hmm. And the Worrell head would be there, and the body was in the case. And they said, make sure you open the Worrell head case first, because there's a riser block in there. Because if you put a BL on top of a Worrell head, is the thing with the 35 BL is the magazine hangs below the pipes.
Okay. Yeah. So
you wouldn't be able to balance the camera.
You won't be able to balance it.
So you'd sit there and get really frustrated and they also put a zoom lens on it.
Of course.
And of course it was an Ingenue 20 to 120. So the only thing I got the gotcha on that one was you couldn't put the matte box against the lens when you were at infinity. You had to focus to minimum, put the matte box
and you
up.
have to know all this to pass a while.
And this is as a second.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
But when I later proctored the test, is the guy who was running it would say, okay, you're not, yes, sometimes the cameras will be either actually booby-trapped or they'll be accidentally booby-trapped. Don't fail them on that because you're not testing them to be a first. You're testing them to be a second. Yeah. They should be able, like if the first is sick is in the bathroom in the morning, they have to be able to build the camera. Yeah. That's the status. And as a proctor, you have to be like a helpful DP. Don't sit there. Don't put any more pressure.
Don't throw things in front of them. Yeah.
They're already shitting a brick. Yep. It's like, okay, so I did the test. I passed. I had to do a review. I don't even think I had to review the Mitchell. And I wound up working with it like the next week on a job. So I knew about that then. But 14 cameras, which was
amazing. Yeah.
But everybody did that.
That's great. Well, look, and then you came in, you knew people knew what they knew, which nowadays you don't know.
That's what, to me, a union meant that you proved that you knew enough to be in the union.
Sure. Yeah. That's changed a little bit.
To me, it's important that people should be tested.
But that's what I'm saying. It's changed a little bit in that they aren't tested anymore. You don't know.
Well, the West Coast didn't. As far as we used to talk about it when we were in 644 that the West Coast doesn't really test. They only have the one question,
which is who do you know?
Yeah, who do you know? The thing that amazed me is like wardrobe. The wardrobe test in NABIT was mind-bendingly difficult.
The wardrobe test?
The wardrobe test. Oh, absolutely. What wound up happening when the unions merged is all of our top wardrobe people went to the top of the IA.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to... This is what I'm told.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be in wardrobe, if you do legitimate theater for like a year as a dresser and like stand in the wings and just do this and then turn around and button them up,
something on and
you're in the wardrobe department.
I gotcha.
Whereas NABIT, it was a very extensive test. They had to be able to tell you what kind of fabrics these are, do different kind of stitches.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Because
but again, going back to what you were saying about loading, you know that if someone is in the union or in NABIT at that, because what you were talking about, that meant they'd passed the test, and if they passed the test, that meant they knew the cameras. So there's no question about it. They wouldn't. In other words, you wouldn't be able to hire them on the job if they didn't know what they were doing. And nowadays, it's not quite that.
Well, nowadays, unfortunately, it's a 3-camera test.
Yeah, but it's not even a test anymore. There's no test.
No, in New York, there's a test.
There's still a test in New York?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't actually know that.
Was there not? They test once or twice a year.
Have they done
as
that?
Cameras
did it go away for a while and come back? Oh, I wasn't aware of that. That's good.
I mean, I still remember I tested Boot Shelton, who's out of
Boot Shelton. Wow.
Right. One of the things when I was proctoring the practical test to get it in NABIT is Zoran Veselic had been an assistant in Hungary.
Okay.
and he was joining NABIT, and it's one of those things. They asked me what camera I wanted to test and to be the proctor on, and I figured I'm not the oldest. I was probably the oldest, more experienced person as proctoring that day, and I said I will do the Mitchell Mark II because it's the camera I failed, and I will be everything that Steve McNutt was the assistant that was saying, be the kind person testing. Yeah. Steve McNutt said that to me, so I'm like, okay, so I will do this camera, and I will not give anyone too much of a hard time. I'd ask him where the shutter control is, and nobody knew where that is because it's on top of the camera next to where the magazine, the leather that turns the take up is. It's on top up there, on top of the body, and like, okay, here's the maximum shutter. Or I would say, now that you found it, what's the maximum shutter? And they're like, the number's right there. And what does this mean? It's like,
but like you said, you'd help them.
I'd help them, because it wasn't a 180 shutter.
And also then they learn, and then they know it,
I was also trying to lighten it up, but like, people would get really, you have to, when you're doing that, if you ask them any question, like, what is your name, some people just start to melt. No, because they're under a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, this is do or die, right? And they're trying to get a career, and
yes, but that pressure comes from themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
So Zorn comes in and walks up to the camera, and immediately I go, "Okay, stop! You pass the camera." Just the way he approached the camera, I said, "Show me, teach me this camera." Because you know this camera better than I ever will.
Oh, so you knew who he was already? Oh,
no.
Okay. Oh, you're saying...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
When you see someone walk up to the camera and they're 100% comfortable with it...
Yeah, you just know.
It was... And he just went through it and he said... and he was showing me the little tricks and stuff.
Oh, that's great. How cool.
I never was able to use the tricks because that was the last time I used that camera or the last time I saw that camera. But it's like... It was fascinating. Like, my brain said, he's got it. He knows it.
Yeah. That's really cool.
This test is a formality so he could get into an American Union.
Yeah. So you got into NABIT. You start working. I'm assuming you're working as like a second loader at the beginning, kind of? Or?
Mostly docks and industrials.
Docks and industrials, okay.
I was a PA.
But you're not pulling focus yet?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you do, here's this mark, do a nice slow pull. The whole thing with Glenn Kershaw is there was a commercial for a Donny Osmond Broadway show, and we're over at Big Blue Marble, which used to be a kids' TV show as a wholly owned subsidiary of ITT. Glenn's father-in-law was a producer that used to do the shows. And his brother-in-law was a mixer. So what wound up happening is they did this little promo, and at the end of it, I walked up to Glenn, who's the cameraman, but he has a 16 SR, and he's downloading the mags himself. And I said, I'm in NABIT, I could help you with that. And he goes, okay, well, give me your card. A couple weeks later, I get a phone call, and I go down to Florida, and we do tennis tips, and so I started working with Glenn for a number of years. We traveled all over the world.
As a second?
You're commercial, you're industrial. You're the only assistant.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So you're pulling focus and you're loading mags and
mostly it's loading mags, supporting the camera, helping with the lighting because you normally had like a 3-person. It was a mixer who has the boom on his head.
Yeah.
A cameraman and an assistant and the producer. And basically the three of us would be, doing the lighting and whatever else needed to be done. You get to a new place, this and that, da-da-da-da. So with that, I traveled the world. We used to do, they did pieces for ITT. They had giant meetings down in Boca Raton. I never did one of the really big ones, but I worked on 2 things that we traveled all over Europe. One time shooting in anamorphic. It was my first anamorphic experience. And another time shooting 16, and they put together these big presentations for the bosses. And then Glenn, Bob Weimer is his name, had all this gear, and he had the friends in the business, and he said, I want to direct small little films. So it wasn't ABC After School, but he made, I worked on 3 things we shot in Flemington. One was called Somewhere Tomorrow, which was...
These are like feature-length projects, or...?
Yeah, like an hour and change. Yeah. Somewhere Tomorrow, I forget the young star's name. But Glenn shot it. We had a Ram, there was a grip and electric, myself, and a bunch of PAs. We made the film. We went back like the next year and did one with Sarah Jessica Parker called...
Who was probably like 15 or something like that? Or?
She's like 16, 17, yeah. So I've worked with her since, and it's.
So wait, these are the ABC After School.
No, these aren't.
Okay.
This is not. This is like.
So where did these movies go? I mean, they went to TV, or where did they go? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could see them now.
Oh,
Somewhere Tomorrow, and To the Infinite Power was the first one, and then we did a bread film that Elizabeth Shue was in.
Wow.
So I got right after Karate Kid.
Oh, so this is after Karate Kid.
It might have been before. I'd have to look it up.
I was going to say, I would think after Karate Kid, she was probably hot enough that she was, so it's probably before. Or maybe it hadn't come out or something like that.
And he had the ITT that had a conductor or a composer. So, like, that guy wrote all the music.
Wow. So like all the in-house stuff they pulled in,
Yeah, like they had an orchestra area that they could bring a whole orchestra in and play.
That's great.
In 57th.
So in these projects, was it a larger crew then by then?
No,
it was still just
one assistant.
Wow, that's great. So
and one assistant, a gaffer, and a bunch of PAs.
And so is that kind of where you started to learn how to pull focus?
Yeah, because there were certain things that you had to. Yeah, because it was more dramatic, you had to do the focus.
Was there ever Steadicam on these things, or that was not?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Then later on. Glenn's, we worked together a bunch of times, but then Glenn started to go on to other things, and I worked with Tom Hurwitz, who was another documentary cameraman, and did a number of years working with him around the world, traveling around, and Bob Ipcar, and a number of other, 4 other cameramen. I used to do stringers for BBC with Peter Rosen. I shot a film for Bob Balaban right out of school.
Huh.
It was his first film, and it was a movie about Bran Farron, basically. And it's Mandy Patinkin.
Oh, my gosh.
Richard Dreyfuss had a cameo. Oh, yeah, Wally Shawn's in it for a bit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, and I'm right out of film school, and I'm shooting this thing.
Well, and these are just people, right? They're not,
And what wound up happening is to get a camera, he hired this guy, Peter Rosen, to use his camera.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And he's working as my camera assistant. Meanwhile, he's a cameraman.
Oh, you were DP.
I was the DP. So we're using Peter's, and then wound up, I work with Peter. We did all this BBC and ZDF and all these other things for years. So he's one of the other camera people I worked with for a long time. Yeah. And then it was like through Dave doing a commercial as a PA is driving. I'm driving the station wagon and we're some location in a barn, and I see Dave Dunlap is going to the station wagon to load. So I scoot into the thing, start the engine to get the air conditioning going. And after about the 3rd time, he goes, "You're really paying attention to what I'm doing." I'm like, "Yeah. I actually have a union card. I'd love to be in that. I'd love to, do more than this." But he goes, "Okay." Then he got a job called Exterminator 2.
Fantastic.
Which was a sequel to highly popular Exterminator.
And probably answered a lot of questions. So.
Robert Guinea. Well, it was like the A-Team before the A-Team. It was a garbage man that when shit goes really bad, he up-armors his garbage truck.
Fantastic. All right. This is a feature?
That's a feature. Okay, gotcha. Mary Van Peebles is there. I came in late. By the way, Dave Frederick was the second. Holly Heinzman, I don't know if she... I don't know what happened to her. She was a camera assistant for years, and I don't know what's happened to her, if she's in the business anymore. And Jeff Tafano was doing B camera. Tony Ginelli was the operator. And it was the first time on a real big set. And just what was great for me is seeing it, doing these little things. I'm the only camera assistant, just standing back. And I got hired as extra hands in the bag.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Okay, yeah. But you're able to watch the orchestra happen in front of you, which you haven't.
Yeah, because
really
we had like a big 5-camera night or something like that.
Sure.
So I'm like third or fourth person in the bag. Mm-hmm. And getting an overview of the whole set and just seeing the director and the DP here, walk around the lens and finder, and then they turn to this and they turn to that, and all of a sudden, and then everything comes together. And it was like, that part of filmmaking still fascinates me. How two people have a discussion, and then the whole world shifts around it.
Disseminates,
and the rapidity that we do it with, and for the most part, the no-nonsense-ness of it is, I'm still a big fan of.
Well, I'm a big fan of it, but I mean, I would think it would become second nature.
No, I still don't know how the grip department works, like how you disseminate information to all these people.
Yeah.
Like on the West Coast, you have gang bosses and all sorts of stuff like that, and they don't have that in New York. It's like, how do you know who's? And it's like,
there's a little bit of magic in it.
There is.
Yeah. But you do the same thing in the camera department, right?
It's what? No,
I mean, it's not
the camera department tends to be fiefdoms. You have an A camera, you have a B camera, and a lot of times you get into this, one team doesn't help the other, or one team, or you're separated. To get 15 people, a core of what, 10?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's
9 or 10 grips, and
it's a larger circus.
It's a very and then you hear about inside grips, outside grips, and then you're like, okay, I try to get under that. It's the only business that we have.
It is quite impressive. No, there's no question about it.
It's the thing.
Well, and the thing that always amazes me, which makes me think sort of along the military, is that you're a first AC and you can drop onto pretty much any set anywhere, and
in the world,
and it works the same. You may not even understand the language, but
right.
The concept is the same, and the breakdown is the same, and that's the reason it does work, right? Is like,
and the jokes between you and the dolly grip are the same. It's like
exactly right.
You stand next to each other, and you just like, and you look over there, and you go, and you
the same stupid stuff. You're just in a different language and some other, but it's the same things. Yeah, that's incredible. So at what point did you start pulling focus? I mean, did it take you a while to get to that point where you were starting to pull focus?
Well, that movie,
outside of the docs,
nobody wanted to be on Exterminator 2.
Just because it was a bad movie, or
it was nighttime in Spanish Harlem. So I went I loved doing it so much that even when I day played, I did we interviewed Peter Benchley in the morning on one of these docs. Then I drove into the city and worked all night.
I remember those days well.
Because I didn't want to miss a day.
Yeah.
So, and Dunlap was a great teacher, and then a lot of times back then you would have the big stunt would be the last thing as the sun's coming up, but they would hire everybody. You had the 11:59 kind of thing. If your call was after 11:59, you were on night penalty.
Oh jeez.
So they'd call you in at 11:59.
So you didn't.
So you're 8 hours to you're still making money.
But not the triple time or whatever it was.
By the end, you're making triple time, but you didn't start. It looks better when you don't start at double time. And everybody that came in on that show as a day player in the camera department, I'd say, I'm not that familiar with how to load the Panaflex. Can you show me how you load it? So I learned everybody's method of loading the camera.
Oh, wow.
Including the bad ways. And some people that just kind of fumfer through, and it's like, do they never think about being efficient at this?
I don't think a lot of people have the mind that you have for there's a better way to do this. I think most people go, this is the way I do it, and they just... But one of the things that I notice about you is you're constantly going, is there a better way to do it?
Right. It's
what makes you a great AC.
It's about being efficient. One of the things I did is, as a first, on all my jobs, on film jobs, is the loader was required to be able to lace a Panaflex camera from the eyepiece being down with the Barbie iron on top of it. The top handle on
the top handle.
The top handle. Eyepiece down and down. And this is something we did on Exterminator 2. We were all staying around, and they said, who's the fastest loading? We had Dunlap and Frederick and Tony Ginelli came up with the timing. So you had a person holding the magazine had 2 fingers of loop out and held it like this. He didn't offer it.
Very specific.
You had
way.
to take it, right? So the object of the game, or of the timing, is to say from camera reloads to camera ready. You had to eyepiece up, lock it, open the door, inch the camera, lace the camera, test burst the camera, reset the footage counter, close the door, get the eyepiece down, camera ready. Camera's ready.
Yep.
I've heard of people that could do the one hand and just go like this. I've never done that. I'm a lefty loader on the camera because I have big fingers. I learned how to... Michael Duff taught me how to load it with one hand because he did a sailboat movie that he had to load it with one hand.
Because you had to hold on with the other.
Yeah, one hand for the ship, one hand for you. He said the dolly grip would take the camera, squat holding onto the rail, and Mike would open the thing and do that. So he taught me the one hand method because I can't get both hands on the camera. So I'm about 28 seconds when I was hot.
I remember these days well because literally everybody would come by the camera and it would just be watching. It was wild to watch. And then
me?
No, anybody. I don't know that I ever worked with you with film.
Not on film. Yeah.
But I remember specifically with the Panaflex. I remember that very satisfying sound of the camera door closing and then.
Oh yeah! Whenever there was a Panaflex in the other room the other day when I was over there and I went in, it was a platinum. Opened the door.
The smell,
the oil and the leather. It's
fantastic.
It's filmmaking.
Yeah, it is filmmaking.
I missed that. That's one of the things I missed.
Yep.
So my loader, I would sit there and say, but before the end of the job, you have to be able to do this, what I just showed you, in 60 seconds.
Okay.
And they all go, no, it's impossible. I said, no. So
Which
then
is twice as long as what you've done.
I would show them and explain what I'm doing while showing them. And close the door, and it was still 45 seconds.
Yep.
And they're like, okay. So when we didn't need them on the set, I would turn to them and say, you have like an hour. Why don't you have some Panafun? So they would go on the truck, the mag with the dummy load in it, on the workbench, and practice
load.
for a couple minutes. And then, you have Panafun here? And people, in the beginning, they'd sit there and go, why are you timing me? It's putting so much pressure. I said, no, you don't understand. This isn't pressure.
That's exactly right. That's what I was going to say.
Pressure is when you're in front of the actors,
yep.
and there's a jam, and you got to clear it. And the whole set is looking at you.
Yep.
All you need to do is do the procedure that I'm going to show you, and do it enough so that it becomes... Your hand does it without you thinking about it.
Yep.
And the first time, I swear to God, the first time it happens clean to you, you're going to go, and you're going to open the door and go, fuck, that was fast. It's like, you want to make it so that, and they're like, why do you need me to do it in under 60 seconds? I said, there are going to be times that the second is off and you're covering them, and I have to ask a question to the director. So I'll just turn over my shoulder and say, lace it, and walk away. Because that's more important. If you could do it in under a minute, you're better than... I don't want to give a percentage, but
a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And it will give you confidence that you will be able to do this later. And that to me is, I'm trying to build them up. I'm always...
That's great.
Right. I'm always trying to... elevate my team. I'm not the kind of person that yells at people. I wish I could do the Lindley to look over the glasses.
Nobody can do the Lindley look over the eye.
Yeah,
like Lindley can,
that is
that's
like
another thing.
Really?
But no, I can't actually imagine having worked with you. I can't imagine you losing your cool. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't imagine it.
One time.
I can't imagine it because one of the things is I've been on sets with you where it's just been chaos and you are the calm in the center of the storm, just sort of collecting information, and then when the time is right,
that's the job. I mean,
that is the job. But not everybody. But that doesn't mean everybody can do the job well, right?
I haven't watched enough people not do that enough. To me, you're in a different. Yeah, one of the things to me is that the camera assistant has to be the calm in the middle of the storm. one of the tricks I always used to do is if it's getting really friggin' raucous around, and they're trying to rush, take out your tape measure, click it on the camera, and walk out with it. Because they have to respect the tape measure.
Because most people won't interfere with you then.
Because you need to get your mark.
Yeah.
When you're shooting film, I don't have that power anymore because everything.
That was my next question. That's right. Changed, right?
It's changed.
Yeah.
I always ran the tape when it was getting a little wild.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And you walk out there and you look and you look serious at the tape.
Yeah.
Even sometimes it doesn't matter what lens. It could be a 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Sometimes you need to control. That's what you can do to help.
Well, you're reining things back in, right?
You can,
yeah,
right.
And the interesting thing is, and I can sort of see this in my mind, is if someone comes up to you and starts to say something, you could easily put your hand up as you're writing something down because they'll understand, like, oh, he needs a second because he doesn't want to forget what he's just done or whatever. So I could totally see how that would work. That's really amazing. So there's nothing that's replaced that?
No, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I can't help control the set that way.
Yeah.
But the other thing I always would do is, if it was a leading lady, is you always run the tape to the leading lady to let her know that in all the madness, because sometimes they're there by themselves.
Yeah.
And nobody, everyone's over here, the director and the DP are talking and the operator's, setting something, and just to walk out there to let her know the camera department cares about her.
Mm. That's great.
But nowadays it's like.
So, do you do that in a different way now? I mean, is it just social?
Now that I'm not standing next to the camera 100% of the time, it's different.
Yeah.
Most people, the younger actors, don't even know what a camera assistant's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is
a lot because, well, in fairness to them, a lot of times they don't even see them. They're sometimes off in another room.
No, yes, I get it, but
shouldn't be that way. But
the last job we did that Tyler and I did was a James Gray movie called Paper Tiger. I've done most of James Gray's movies. I missed 3 of them. Either I didn't meet him yet, or they started when I couldn't, or it was on the West Coast. I think he's a fantastic director. I love the way he deals with the actors. I love the way he talks to. He's very specific about a lot of things. He has the music in his mind already. He has interesting projects, and we were shooting film. We shot 2 perf on Eric MLT's. Joaquin Baca-Esse is the DP.
Oh my gosh, Joaquin Baca-Esse! Wow, I went to NYU with him. Yeah. And
I really wanted to go old school. I really wanted to be next to the camera. I really wanted to do everything old school, because I haven't done enough with the HD taps to trust them. Mm-hmm. And when I worked on Bike Riders now 3 years ago. I was covering the first assistant on it because his wife was having a baby. So he took 2 weeks off and I covered him. And it was Rod Kolarka was the operator there. And just walking there and hooking the tape measure up and plugging the whip into the camera. Mm-hmm. I missed it.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I'll do the same thing on Paper Tiger. And it wound up, we were shooting with TLS version of the Super Baltars. So the focus gear would cover the marks on the lens, so I couldn't see the marks on the lens. And then we filmed in really tiny rooms, so I couldn't be in the room with the camera, and they'd be on a slider, and there'd be a light there. So unfortunately, a lot of times now, the Bike Riders, Adam Stone's the DP, Jeff Nichols is the director, and they decided to shoot film. Pleasure and honor going out there and working that job traditionally, standing next to the camera with a whip plugged in.
Did it come back to you just like that? I mean,
yeah.
It has to, right?
I was worried, I brought my Light Ranger and stuff, and it's like, what wound up happening is the tap was biased for the operator, so the A tap was really dark, so he couldn't really see any. I don't know how they saw anything. Okay. So I'm like, I can't see anything on this. I'd be aiming at shadows, so I'm going to stand next to the camera. Just go old school.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times I've done shots old school just because the reaction time or the geometry of the room that dictates that you have to do it old school. And I'd have my son, Tyler, or someone who I trust watching the monitor to make sure everything's cool. Because unfortunately, the operator has the worst picture in the business
That is
right now.
true. That's true.
With the digital cameras, you're looking at a 720p image, or it's. And it was a pleasure to stand next to the camera again, and
awesome.
It all came back. We fight scenes, Tom Hardy coming into close-ups. It's just like,
well, there's just something about being connected to the camera that it's just lost. Yeah.
To be there, to have that perspective again. It's like, I loved it. I really loved it, and I wish that more photography was classic like that. But nowadays everything's on a slider or you're on a remote head.
Yep.
You have no idea where you are in the world, and you need assistance on some of these things because you don't do the kind of photography we used to do.
No. And one of the things that bothers me is it's so nice to hear. It's like I'm getting nostalgic listening to how nostalgic you were for it. But a lot of these newer assistants never had that and will never have that. They don't even understand that concept, which is too bad because it's such a wonderful experience. And also the great thing was, look, with this thing right now, we're on headsets. So you'll chime in with like, do you think that this or whatever? Right. But when you were a foot and a half apart from each other.
However, I also see my role now as being a pair of eyes that's not because most of the time, from what I'm told, operators are watching the corners.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for where your end stops are, and you don't get to watch the
Depending
whole frame.
Depending on what the shot is, yeah, exactly.
And there are times that I have yes, I will be zeroed in on what I'm supposed to look at. But there are also a lot of times that, like yesterday, it's like there's something on his nose. It's like there's something just hitting me every time an actor leaned in there. There's something on his nose, and the back of my brain is flashing the alert. And then when I bring it to the forefront, it's like, or the hair.
Well, the hair was what I was going to say, because we were shooting a scene with, 3 people in it, and their background or whatever, and you came over the headsets and said, are we okay with this hair? And of course, I was, again, I'm watching the 4 corners. I'm watching the center, but whatever. Right. And I'm like, whose hair? What hair? What are we looking at? And then I suddenly, he happened to lean down and put his hand through the front of his head, and I said, oh, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
But,
right. That's what I'm saying. Is I find that my job is, as a camera assistant, and notice I'm avoiding the term focus puller. We talked about this the other day. Is my job is to help you do your job, help the DP do his job. It's not. One of my fears of going digital was that I'd become a focus monkey.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
What I'm talking about with David here is the term focus puller.
Eric does not like that term.
It's not. I think when I think focus puller, it's a British term. So the British also call the second assistant the clapper loader. And when it comes down, if I wanted to one word what everybody in the camera department does, you are composition as an operator. I am primarily focus. The second is logistics, and the loader is like backup. They're dealing mags, they're dealing batteries, they're keeping the whole engine running.
Yeah,
and like
fuel.
ooh. And like I had my loader that that I've worked with for a while now. She was like, "I'm just the loader." She's telling somebody, "I'm just the loader." And I said, "No." And I basically stopped her and said, "No, you are a valuable camera assistant on this movie. It's like without you." And she said nobody ever said that to her that way before. It's like I tend to be passionate about my crew, about making sure that they are as good as they can be, helping them. Like with the film, you want them to be able to step in, to fill in for the second, to lace the camera in front of people. We're all camera assistants, even utilities. It's like you have a question, you're part of the team. You're a camera assistant first, and your subtitle is utility. It's all part of the big team, and we try to, I try to show respect for everybody in the department and for everybody in every department. PAs especially, because they have the hardest fucking job on a set.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know what's going on yet, and they are your lifeline.
Yep, no question. But going back to the focus puller thing, it's funny because one of the things that we haven't worked together for a while, and on the first day, I don't remember what it was, but there's something about when Eric says, "What do we think about the mirror in the background?" There are a lot of people who would say that, and I'll sort of glance at it and go, I don't see anything wrong with it. But when you bring it up, I know you've thought about it.
Right.
And you've thought about, should I bring it up and when I should bring it. So when you bring it up, it isn't necessarily that I will agree or disagree, but it's something I should definitely give some time to, because clearly there's something about it that you're thinking about it. So I think I understand why the term focus puller would rile you, because it's a portion of it. Extremely important, maybe even the most important, but it's the one that if you do poorly, it's not going to be usable. Whereas the mirror in the background, we could probably get around or deal with it in post or something like that.
But it's also
Yeah, but there's so much more to it, and that's why I love working with you, is because you embody all that stuff, because you are looking at all the stuff in the frame and this and that and the other, and there is so much going on, and it's so fast, unfortunately, now, that it's always great to have that extra pair of eyes and know that you're not going to bring something up that's just meaningless or whatever.
And the other thing for me, when I'm not working with, you hear my suggestions with you. There are times when I'm working with somebody that doesn't have your experience that I've been honored by some of the younger operators that I'm working with, that I defer, of course, but I ask them, I try to ask them the Lindley style question, or I'll try to help them get better, or something that they're not paying attention to, and just try to elevate the shot, elevate the storytelling, just trying to help them with that aspect of the job.
Well, because you bring that up, I would mention this, because I was going to ask you, I do want to ask you about this. When you're working with, how many years you have as a focus puller? Sorry, I said focus puller.
That was the glass hitting the table, that sound.
This is the sound of Eric leaving the room. How many years have you been a first AC?
I think Blue Steel was like 85. That was the first big full union job I did.
So 40 years, yeah. So you've got 40 years as a first AC on some very big shows, some of which I'm going to ask you about. And you get thrown on something where you have someone who's just moved up to operating, or someone who's newer as an operator.
Yeah.
How do they work with you? What's the best way that, because there's that, the reason I ask it is because there's a weird thing, like you get, let's say it's your first feature as an operator, right? And you get in there and there's Eric Swanek. There's this part of you that doesn't want to not use everything that you bring to it, because there's so much, and there's this part of you that also needs to make sure that you're being the operator, you're being, people are listening to you, and there's a weird dynamic there. So I will say, just before I ask you for your answer, the smart operators are going to know that anything that Eric Swanek brings up, or someone like that, is something that should be listened to. But there are other assistants that I have worked with, who might bring up something simply because it's more of a power play than it's making the movie better. And
I don't play those.
No, that's not you. But I'm saying, but so you get on a show and it's a brand new operator.
Right.
What's the best thing that they can do to work with you well?
not worry about me.
How so?
Sometimes they get a little chatty about what the shot's going to be. They want, to me, it's a shot. Sometimes it's a shot I understand possibly better. If they want to tell me if it helps them with their
process
part,
or whatever, yeah,
then I'll let them talk. But like sometimes I'll say, you do spinny spinny, you do uppy downy, lefty righty, I'll do the spinny spinny. We're good. Make it work for you. Don't worry about focus. I'm going to be watching that. Don't let fear of the camera assistant stop you from finding the shot.
Huh. Okay.
You know, I want to free you up so you don't have to worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I will go up and talk to them between takes if necessary, just like a catcher would with a new pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there in that kind of... I'm there to support.
Yeah.
And we're all supporting the DP and the director ultimately. In the story...
Hopefully.
Well, the director penultimately in the story ultimately. So I will... If they're nervous about it, I will talk to them and just say, you know, whatever you need, man. Like, I'm here. You want to change heads? Don't worry about... I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I'm going to be supportive. If you ask for the wheels and then you realize it's not a wheel shot, don't worry about it. I have no ego in this thing.
Yeah.
I'm here for making the story better. So, like, don't hesitate. Don't second guess. If you need something, ask me. And, you know, either I or my team can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want them to worry about that kind of thing at all.
Now, when you think of good operators that you've worked with, what would you say some of the things that you see in good operators that makes them good operators are?
Oh, God.
I mean, and I'm not talking about the technical. I mean, they can land a frame, they can whatever.
Right. I mean, I did something with Mike Roberts years ago that I day played on. He did one shot I was doing with him, but it was not a relationship thing. I did quite a number of movies with Craig Hagenson, who I think is an incredible operator. It's like when I started out, it was like Gus Macris and Ken Ferris were the two guys in Nabit that were the ones that I worked with. I never worked with Tony Ginelli outside of being a loader. But I learned a lot from those guys, you know, because back when I started in Nabit we didn't always have a video tap.
Mm-hmm.
Because video taps the rental was more than the camera. Everybody probably going to think that's ridiculous, but yeah, the camera's $200 a week or something like that. The video was like $200 a day. The tap was $250.
Yeah,
and that was a black and white tap.
By the way, just sidetrack. When we moved recently, and I was going through all sorts of old papers and whatever, and I found this old notebook that I had, and I'd written down all the things that I had done. So like some music video I'd never heard of and whatever.
Right.
And I had little things on there, and one of them was something like, like they were renting my Steadicam for $75 for the day, but they were paying me an extra $150 to rent a video tap for the camera for the Steadicam shot.
Yeah.
So it's that shows you right there how rare they were. Yeah. But so what aspects of those operators do you think makes them good operators?
With Hagenson, he would be in the room with the director and the DP. I've done jobs that the two were not talking well together.
No, really?
That they'd be in opposite sides of the room, and they'd have a little discussion of what he did, and then they'd turn to Craig, and Craig would be sitting there nowhere near either one of them. He says, I was thinking, like, here, and to watch the two people like tip their heads like dogs and come over to where Craig was, like he had he always found a very interesting shot, and he just had a way of bringing it together.
Do you think that by him doing that, he was sort of disarming them because it was neither this person's or that person's, it was something else, so that neither of them was losing by, you know?
I never asked, but to witness it, and also when he was on his own, Craig, this is the shot, and he'd go off on his own. There was a shot for We Own the Night that Joaquin Phoenix comes out of the Phragmites, which is the reedy things in the marshes, and walks into this circle where the police are all surrounding his mentor, who's being taken down. And there's a whole path between us and that, and there are cars parked. And Craig put the camera, and I'm sitting there going, this is weird, because there's a car in front of us. And he put it to the height that you saw Joaquin appear out of the reeds through the car windows. And took him the whole way, and we panned through another car. And then when Joaquin left, as he came up in the foreground, and we had him, like, his head was above the car windows. And I was like, I looked at the dolly grip, like, how the fuck did we just do that? And I look at Craig, and I'm about ready to say that was amazing. And he just like moved over a foot and did this. This was he wiggled his fingers in the classic V, horizontal V. He'd wiggle them, say, and this is Ricky Marroquin was our dolly grip.
Great dolly grip, yeah.
And Ricky would bring the dolly over and like put it there, and then we'd do another take, and it was even better than the last take. It's like
constantly refining.
But like just. So I did movies with Craig, with Harris Savides, and with Darius Kanji. Bruno Delbonnel, we did Across the Universe, which was amazing. But I worked with Craig for about 10 years, 11 years. Fantastic, really amazing operator. And it was one of the things... People ask me, why don't you become an operator? And it's like, I'm never going to be as good as that. But I could support that with everything I got. You know, I'll never be a Harris Savides. I'll never be a Darius. I'll never be a Roger Deakins.
I'm the same way.
But I want to help support that. And if it's a younger DP, I've worked with a number of younger DPs. It's like, I want to support them, like help them with whatever I could do. Make it so they're not limited. Like, just Bill Kirstein shot Mean Girls musical, and it's like there were a lot of challenging things we had to do. Ari Robbins was our Steadicam operator.
Great operator.
Amazing Steadicam operator. Did some amazing things with the Trinity. And, 100%. Myself and Tyler and the rest of the camera team, 100% support these guys. It's like you come up with a concept, we'll do our best to do it. And the other thing about being a camera assistant is also trying to see ahead to what rig we need to do later and what I need to make things work. Like,
well, that goes back to the efficiency that you were talking about before, right? It's
yes,
being steps ahead.
But there are a lot of people that wait to be told what to do, and most of the time, you're like, you asked me to invert the camera the other day, last night, and everyone asked me why I took and you wanted to do it with a 25-75.
Yeah.
And everybody asked me why I didn't just take the dovetail off and click in that way, and I take the whole O'Connor base off of the head, because that's a solid lock. When you hear that click, that camera's not coming off of there. Yeah. Where I've had issues with QRPs or RBQs, whatever you want to call them, if you don't lock them, especially the 25-75, the camera can come out of it.
Yep.
But it cannot come out of the OC, UB, whatever
the big one.
The big
It
can't come out of that.
Yeah.
So they all look at me funny until I explain. And when you hear that click, the camera's not falling.
Yep. No, but the second you said it to me, I was like, oh, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you about some specific movies, because you've worked on it. So, Shawshank. My first question about Shawshank is this. Did it seem like something special when you were working on it? Because I'm always fascinated by movies that are incredible, and I always wonder, when you're in it, does it...
What was incredible for me is working with Deakins. That was the last movie I did with Roger. Roger is an amazing cameraman. The lighting was really beautiful, but you never, as nobody saw the movie when it came out. So like,
yeah, it was a dud.
Yes, I didn't even get to. I missed it in its theatrical run because it was only like a week.
It came and went. That movie I was just listening to about it. It didn't actually. It was when it came out on video that it became something that people started talking about, and then it became a thing. Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman had a line about nobody can remember the name of it to recommend.
That was the other thing. Yeah, it's like the yeah.
And it's a prison movie. Who wants to see a prison movie?
It had everything going against it. Yeah, absolutely.
When I read the script, it's like, oh, at the very end you get into the Birdman of Alcatraz and Escape from Alcatraz and The Great Escape. There are a couple devices that are you're digging a tunnel, you got to get rid of the dirt.
So when you read the script, did it seem like, oh, this is going to be a really good movie, or did it seem like this could go either way?
I wish I had the ability to do that with scripts.
Ah, okay.
When I'm reading a script, I'm absorbing who the characters are and their relationships, and how I try to see how they're changing. So when we actually get to the filming, I hate pulling off the sides. Mm-hmm. I want the visuals to tell me who I'm focusing on.
It's a visual storytelling medium, yeah.
Right, but I know, was it you or someone else in the podcast that said you're the first audience?
Could have been either, but yes, yeah.
I consider the first audience with both eyes.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, right.
mostly you're one eye.
One eye.
In the old days, it'd be one eye on the camera.
Yep.
So to me, the storytelling through focus, and we work together on this because there are shots, you always hear the director, oh, Eric, you should have focused on that guy. It's like, I can't because the operator was not biased to that person. Yeah, yeah. If I did it, it would look wrong. Yeah. And so I'll take the heat. I'll say, okay, I got you. I'll do it on next time. And I'm saying it loud enough, the operator. If I'm not next to the operator, it's on the headsets. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that next. I'll do that next time because there are times that we work together. And when it works together, it's beautiful. Like when you're
absolutely
when you're in simpatico, like the hot dogs yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a lock-off on that one.
I was a lock-off, but it was about setting up that shot. It was this guy putting these hot dogs together. It was kind of a weird shot.
Right, it was a raking shot. Cool. So they were coming towards you, and it's like he comes towards you, goes away, comes towards you. If you were operating it, then, like, what part do you go to? And, like, when you're working with a good operator that has a sense of rhythm and a sense of composition, it's so beautiful. Like,
well, but they're going to go where you think they should go, and then that makes sense.
And then also the dolly grip when you have this move, and like this is one of the things with the musical. With like, I still remember going up to Joe Belcher was our dolly grip on that, and just going up and like fist bumping, like when you got something and it was like you're still in shock that it was so good.
It all clicks.
Yeah, because you got these three people that are doing the shot at the time, the camera part of the shot. And we all got to be together. And this is the other beautiful thing about the business is like anywhere in the world, you get a good dolly grip, you get a good operator, you get a good assistant, and it
clicks.
It's beautiful. And when you have someone that has no rhythm,
it clunks.
It clunks. Yeah, it clunks.
You told me a story about Shawshank with the follow focus is not working. Can you share that? So I thought that was fascinating.
Well, back then there were no there's no HU3, there's no HU1. There was one follow focus unit for the Steadicam, and that was the John Seitz follow focus unit. And if you flip up the cover on it, if you ever see when you flip up the cover, it says designed by John Seitz and Larry McConkey. Because Larry's in everything. Larry's an amazing Steadicam operator. And I'm standing here, I'm sitting here in front of Dave, and and Dave will admit it. Of course, he's incredible.
He's on a different level. He's also, by the way, an amazing tinkerer on top of that, which is what makes him an amazing Steadicam operator.
Yeah. So there was a Seitz unit which used regular radio frequencies. It was not microwave, and there were times when doing the prep on the job, as we took out a I think it was a Hayden follow focus.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah,
It was a wired follow focus. It was a cable thing, which was what Steadicam used to use before the.
Sure, it's the only thing that was there. Yeah.
So they're used to run that down the arm, and to the assistant had to be somewhere near the operator's back because the cable's only about 8 feet long, and it's a very thin cable. What we found out when we shot in the actual prison, most of the scenes you see in the prison are not in the actual prison. It was like a GE washing machine factory that they built the stage in. The actual prison you see when they're eating, and of course the exteriors for the most part. And it's not a very friendly place. And all those bars in there with the sights unit, because it's radio frequency, as you get in, if the bars were a certain distance apart, they act as reflectors to radio signals. And the way the sights unit was, it was basically an RC, an old school RC for airplanes.
Yeah.
So you had your roll, pitch, yaw, and instead they turned it into 2 knobs and a slider. So your zoom was a knob, which was not very great. And there was also backlash, all these issues. But when you got into the prison, the sights didn't often work. So the scene that Andy's defending himself with a rake when the sisters come at him is I had to use this other follow focus, the wired follow focus.
Should be wired to it. Oh, wow.
Well, you could put a BNC on the sights unit.
Yeah.
But the actual head unit or the receiver were not RF isolated.
So
there would be enough leakage that it would echo around and you couldn't control anything.
So basically the lens would just be jumping.
No, it wouldn't move at all.
Oh, it wouldn't move at all. Oh, okay.
No.
Gotcha.
Because with radio frequency, basically, it's like each channel had a tone. It'd be like, boo.
Oh, really?
And, the run would be a tone or no tone, and they'd be different frequencies and just different amplitudes as far as I could mentally think about it. It might not be true, but this is the way I've justified it in my mind. I kind of reverse engineer things. So when we did the lightning, Andy coming out of the pipe and the famous shot where he's looking up to the sky, is we didn't have fancy lightning machines. There were no strobe lights. There was no computer-controlled strobes. The way we used to do lightning is they would have 2 carbon arcs. For those of you that don't know, it's 83 volts of DC power going through 2 pieces of carbon in a carbon arc lamp, and normally you strike it, the two pieces of carbon touch, and it forms a flame that goes between them. You could actually see electrons kind of jumping from one rod
scary.
to another. Yes.
Yeah.
And it puts out a lot of UV, and it puts out a lot of RF when this happens. A lot of radio frequency. It just kind of blasts over because you're moving electrons, and electrons moving generate a radio frequency, which nobody thinks about. So the electrics had these 2 carbon rods, and they had like a metal shield in front of it so it wouldn't blind the guy doing this.
Oh, God.
And the handles on it was like lawn shears.
Yeah.
But insulated so they could touch the 2 rods to make the bright lightning. So when we were using a power pod, which had its own wired focus unit in it. You had this giant paddle that would be cabled through the whole system to the head, but it wasn't RF isolated. So anytime anyone smacked these 2 carbons together, it would flood the radio frequency and the motors would jump. And I don't mean a little bit. They would go to minimum focus and stopped all the way down as far as I could tell.
God.
No, we probably didn't have a motor on the Iris because we didn't do that unless we had a Steadicam shot. Early, the sights unit, most people didn't fly a second motor because the first motor you had to gang 2 up to make it strong enough to turn
an actual lens.
So I'm doing the shot, and I'm as out of the rain as I can be on a relatively short cable on the PowerPod's remote focus. I'm nowhere near video. I'm doing it by standing near, within like 12 feet of the camera. Camera goes up. Motors do what they do, and I have no idea it does this. And I hear Roger and Frank Darabont, the director, go, something weird happened to the focus. Which is nobody understands when it goes out of focus. They don't say, "Oh, it went out of focus," or "You took a radio hit." It's like something weird happened. I think we had playback, and I looked at it, and you just see the motors just snap the whole way over. It's like shit. So we break out the trusty hardwired cable, use that to put the motors on the shot. And the wire's only 8 feet long, and the camera's on a giraffe crane, which was brand new at the time. But the cable's only 8 feet long. So I have to stand out in the water just out of the shot. I'm wearing full gaiters, by the way, because we did Steadicam and chasing him and leading him in the swamp.
In the swamp.
Once the sun came up. So I'm wearing full gaiters, and I'm just out of the shot, and I guess I'm out enough so you don't see the ripples hitting my legs and bouncing back into the frame because there's so much rain going on. And we start the camera, we're doing the shot, we're doing the boom up, and I have to... I'm close to the shot because the cable's only so long, and I have to hold the hand unit out of the water, and as the camera goes up, as it starts to pull on the wire, so I have to raise my hands all the way above my head as I'm pulling focus until I have to let it go.
And it's just dangling from the camera?
It's dangling from it, and it goes up like another foot or two. But I can't move because that's, so it's like I hope we got the end of the shot.
So basically, while Andy Dufresne is looking up at the sky, you're like 6 feet away.
I'm 6 feet away. I'm looking at a profile.
I love that.
Like this.
That's so great.
I mean, also, the other shot that was really interesting to do was the shot as he's crawling through the pipe. Because we shot that with a BL3. And the BL3, the video tap was like a snorkel, came out of the top of the camera and went back.
Went back, yeah. It was like right above the handle. So
that's correct. Yeah. However, the pipe was only 24 inches tall.
Oh, jeez.
And they wanted to put water in the pipe.
Okay.
So what I wound up doing...
The pipe was only 24 inches tall?
It might have been 30 inches.
So he was crammed.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a big guy, too. Yeah.
Well, he's tall. He's not...
You're right. He's not thick. But,
right.
Yeah.
He's not thick.
He's
wiry.
He's wiry.
So what we wound up doing is they bolted the camera, I think, directly to a 2x12. But because we were going to be down near the waters, I had to take... it was Visqueen at the time. I don't know. It was not I think it was just regular Visqueen. Put it over the board, bolt through the Visqueen, and had it wrapped up around the bottom of the camera and take the video tap off. Because the tap didn't fit in the hole.
So you're doing the whole thing blind, basically.
Yes. So it's like set the focus, and said, "Tim, you got to stay about this far away."
Yeah. And Roger's not watching. Nobody's watching.
Nobody could see the shot.
Nobody sees anything until dailies.
Nobody sees anything until dailies.
Wow, that's wild.
So they push the camera through into the tunnel, which is a sonotube, which the concrete forms. Fill it with, I think it was Oreos, crushed Oreos and water.
Fantastic.
And then had to tell Tim Robbins to keep about this distance.
This is your distance.
And I think Frank was saying stop, because he stops, he has to vomit.
That's right, yeah.
So it's when he stopped, our dolly grip stopped. And the dolly grip on that was Bruce Hammy, who worked with Roger for a long time. Mm-hmm. Really great dolly grip. So that's how we did that shot.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's amazing. I mean, look at that. That's such an iconic shot, and yet it's so
nobody saw it until dailies.
Conceptually simple, and nobody saw it until dailies. Nobody had their own.
But also nobody said, "Hey, Eric, we're going to stick this thing in a tube, and it's going to be filled with a lot of water. How are you going to?"
Yeah.
Oh. They had the tubes. They had all this stuff. Nobody said, how are we going to do this?
No, but I mean, it's a last-minute piece of information to you.
Yeah. So we have to pull stuff out of our butts a lot.
That's what we do.
That's
right?
what we do.
Only because I have to ask, Scent of a Woman?
Yes.
Did this seem ridiculous when you were making it with the hoo-ah and all of that?
Oh, we had bets that day.
What? On what?
On how many hoo-ahs we were going to get.
How many hoo-ahs?
Oh, absolutely. We went in, that was like a Saturday for some reason. It was a night call on the stage at Kaufman, if I'm not mistaken. Kaufman Astoria. We get there and they go, I know we're always carrying 2 cameras. Can we use the 3rd camera today? So I'm not crewed up for 3 cameras. And Andy Harris was my second for. And a big shout out to Andy Harris on his Roger Deakins thing for thanking me. I'm very honored by that.
Oh, did he? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Andy's great. I've tried to get him on here, and he will not do it. He drives me crazy. He's fantastic.
He's fantastic. Yeah. We worked together for 5 years.
He was your second for 5 years?
Yeah.
Wow, the 2 of you and a camera crew. That's amazing.
Oh. So we're doing Son of a Woman for the hoo-ah scene. We pull out the 3rd camera, so Andy's pulling focus on the 3rd camera. Our loader's barely able to keep up with this, and Marty Brest likes to do a lot of takes. I believe we were getting into the 40s a number of times.
Wow.
And a lot of the scenes in the movie were, the way I describe it is either 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So you either got 2 takes of mag or you got 1 take of mag. So we had more short ends. That was the first IA job I did.
Oh, wow.
We had more short ends on that job than all of the Nabit films shot in their principal photography. Like we'd shoot like 300,000 feet. We had like 400,000.
Oh,
we had like 350, 400,000 feet of short ends at the end of the job.
Wow.
I wasn't allowed to put up short ends, but all the scenes were long
scenes,
and we would do
a
lot of takes.
Yeah.
I was telling you, we did. Marty Brest does not believe in noddies, which are the British term if you're doing a documentary or something like that. You film one side of the interview, then you turn around, you film the interviewer, and they ask 1 or 2 questions, and then nod.
Oh, noddies.
Nod.
Okay.
Yeah. They hold their notepad up and they nod and go, good point, or something like that. Marty Brest would do the entire scene
to get all the nods.
To get the reaction throughout, and we had 3 cameras on the 3 characters off camera that are in the audience for 3 takes. That were Jim Rebhorn was an amazing actor. He was the proctor in the game in that scene. I worked with him a number of times. Fantastic character actor. The scene's like 10 minutes long. 3 takes of that, and then we did a 4th take with just 1 camera.
Basically, just them listening to the goings on, as opposed to a minute what you could cut.
Yeah, 10,000 feet of film on that. That was Mark. That's what he wanted to do. He was a producer on the film.
Yeah.
He liked to have.
Yeah.
He liked to get every reaction like that. So it's like that's his decision. And coming from a job, from a world that you only shot 300,000 feet of film, shooting 10,000 feet on one shot was like incredible to me. It's like, I'm in the big time now.
Yeah. Wow. A movie, well, not a movie, it's a miniseries, I guess, or limited series, whatever, that a lot of people I don't think saw, Escape from Dannemora.
Escape from Dannemora, yeah.
That had some phenomenal camera work in it.
It does.
There was some really cool stuff of them going down through the tunnels.
Yes.
It's about an escape from a prison. Another one seems to be a thing with you.
Craig Higginson was the A operator on that. Matt Pebler was the B operator, and he had James Madrid was his camera assistant, his first. And they did a great deal of all of that material. Myself, at the time, Mike Guthrie was my second. Tyler was the loader on the job. We did that was broken up into 2 halves. We did before Christmas, and then they shut down for like 2 months, and then they picked up and finished the show. So a majority of the escape part, I think it's episode 5.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly episode 5. Yeah.
Was Pebler and Matt Pebler, James Madrid, doing those shots. We had movies. They did a number of really cool shots. They did catch and release on a car moving
it's
around.
It's worth seeing. I mean, because it's this huge run through these tunnels and this and that. It's really impressive. Was that a real prison, or was that
that was
a set?
No, the block that you see is a set.
Okay.
We were in the actual yard. We were in the actual Dunkin' Donuts across the street. Initially, the New York State wasn't really thrilled with us doing the film because it
doesn't look too good on them, right?
They all a TV movie was made that really painted the town poorly.
Yeah,
and then The prison was not really thrilled about it until Cuomo came in and said, no, this is an important story. We should tell this. Jessica Lee Gagne shot it. As you know, Ben Stiller, amazing director. His knowledge, filmmaking, and how to talk to actors, and his vision. I also did the first season of Severance with with Tyler was my second. Mike Guthrie is on B camera. Both of those are like visual tour de forces, like really amazing. The Ben Stiller coming up with his, his production designer and Jessica doing an amazing job about telling these stories this way. And they're challenging for camera. There's a lot of very challenging shots in both of them.
But I would, anybody who hasn't seen Escape from Dannemora, because it didn't make a huge splash, it's worth seeing. There's some beautiful work in there.
Yeah, and Benicio del Toro and Paul Dano, Patricia Arquette, the performances are just fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. It's because you mentioned actors, you've worked with some big name actors.
Yeah.
How do you figure out what they need? Because every actor's different, right?
That's the operator's job.
But do you have any thoughts on that? Do you interact with them much?
Not as much as certain ones, like if you're in a car, you're doing a shot with them, yes. Yeah. But like for the most part, it's the operator that's, if they need them to, what used to bother me is if we'd be doing some kind of arm shot, and the only one out there at the end of the arm is, guess who? It's me. And I got a headset on, and I got people telling me what to do, and I have to go up to the actors, and it's like,
tell them to do this, tell them to do that.
Yes, yeah. It's like I'm sorry, but they're asking me if you guys could do this. It's like it's an awkward position for me because I'm the observer.
Interesting.
When it's people will sit there and say, oh, I don't do marks or anything like that. Or directors will say, I don't do marks. And it's like, the marks aren't just for me. As if you were standing next to the camera, camera marks are great for where the actors are and you're pulling focus, looking at them and trying to judge distances. It's great. But it's not for me, it's for composition. It's like, if they're not there, if they're not in that spot, that
frame doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's not the same story. Like, we were discussing yesterday about sliders and how we're forced to use them. But if you're in before sliders, it's like you'd have to do another take if the actors aren't on the mark.
Because you couldn't fix something.
Yeah. So for the most part, I defer to the operator for that kind of stuff because the operator will have the longer term relationship. Although I will say, Buzz Moyer brought me in on Fathers and Daughters because he saw that Russell Crowe loves me.
Buzz is a smart man.
I had done American Gangster with him, and he recognized the camera crews on that because. Ridley Scott did not do a lot of takes on that, so we'd have three cameras practically looking at each other, and somehow Harris Savides made it look good, which we would set up two cameras, and then it's like, well, they're not here yet, and Ridley would set up the third camera. It's almost in our shot, and but we had a very good camera crew. Eddie Efron was on the B camera, Mike Cambria was on the C camera. Let me see, it was Craig Higginson on A, Larry McConkey operating B, and Dave Dunlap on C. So the operators were fantastic, and the camera assistants were fantastic. So Russell was really grateful he didn't have to go and do multiple takes because of technical.
Of you guys. Yeah.
So he kind of
Did he bring you all the what's his team's name? He owns a rugby team. He gives all sorts.
I got season tickets, but I wasn't going to go to Australia to use it.
That's an ungift.
Yeah. Well, for a while there, I was getting a gift every Christmas.
There you go.
Until the last, I think, 3 years.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit with him, but not much. But I've heard that about him.
Yeah.
You still get nervous when you start a job? Did you ever get nervous when
Oh
you
no!
started?
When I started, I wouldn't sleep the night before.
Is there still anything?
Here's a word of advice to anybody that wants to be a camera assistant. It's the loneliest job sometimes. When you're doing film, you'd be the only one by the camera sometimes. Or, especially, one of the things I respect about John is he likes it to be quiet around the camera.
John Lindley.
Everything goes back to John.
It does to me too. And anybody who knows him understands why, actually. But yeah.
So there's a lot of things that, John's philosophy is like, never look at your paycheck. Because normally Friday morning, everybody would sit there and fucking take out their paycheck and look at it. It's going to be the same number when you get home.
Yeah.
And I think a corollary was never take your, the thing that really knocks me out when I'm on a TV show is you finish a scene and everybody on set takes out their call sheet, takes a Sharpie, crosses it off. It's like, it doesn't help. Mm-hmm. It might mentally help you, but it's like network television is a grind, as you know.
On that note, and I've said it here before, one of my favorite things that John has said was, we finished the day and the AD came up and he said, yeah, we got 42 setups today or whatever it was. And John turned to him and he goes, were any of them any good? You could see him saying that too.
I didn't tell you the Good Son story.
No.
Oh, okay.
So
we're shooting the Good Son. We're up in Cape Ann in Massachusetts.
John
shot. Yeah. Joe.
Did you say that was the first time you'd worked with him on The Good Son?
No, it was a thing that was called Shakedown. It was, I think it was Blue Jean Cop was released as Shakedown.
Gotcha.
And I was the second on that.
Gotcha.
And the last 1 or 2 days, I was the key first on it because my first op wound up bumping up to operator. So the Good Son, we get up there, and okay, guys, it's wintertime in New England. We're north. Sunset's early. Sunset's like 4:30, so we're not going to break for a meal. Okay, fine, whatever. Great. You're going to get your meal penalty, whatever it is. So we're up there, and like the second week, John's family comes to visit, and Willow is his daughter. Willow's the older one because Chester was younger. Mm-hmm. And they come to visit the set, and John's working, and his daughter comes up to him and says, Daddy, aren't you going to have lunch? And he goes, no, dear, the day's only so long, we have to film when the light out. And she looked at him, and she may have held his hand and said, don't you know, everybody's got to eat. And John said he looked down and looked at her and said, you're right. We should break. And it's like...
That's John.
That's John.
Great. That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
He's one of the best.
Just the sight of Willow saying that.
Yes, that I can totally see that. That's great. After school specials. Yeah. I asked you early about it. We never got to it.
It was a great place. NABIT had basically the contracts for the after-school specials because they were all very low budget. And was it Robert Halmy was doing them, as far as I know?
No idea.
I think that's what John was saying.
I think John told me, and actually Tommy Shalami told me the same thing, that after-school specials were sort of a springboard for trying people out, DPs specifically and directors, for movies of the week and features. So it was actually like a coveted thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, NABIT, the biggest job I did in NABIT might have been Reversal of Fortune. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Irons and Ron Silver. It's there was a budgetary limit.
Okay.
If it was a big show, they would go IA. And if it was like a smaller budget, they would go with the NABIT. Or, I can't remember what other movies. There were a lot of movies that were shot in, Alphabet City, Rooftops, Reversal of Fortune. I did Blue Steel. The last one was the Super. We had the last NABIT contract. Mm-hmm. So you had that level of job, which was like a feature level, which was great. But the after school specials, again, it was like learning experiences. You had younger DPs. It was a smaller crew. Not the great, it's not quite movie of the week acting, but it's and it tends to be stories for kids. So it's
they always had a message, and they were a little sappy,
right?
But
they could be like one I worked on was Gramps and the Globetrotters, where it was a really good character actor played a grandfather that didn't know how to read, and somehow through the magic of the Harlem Globetrotters coming in.
Great.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very cute
That's
one.
awesome.
Another one was Madeline Kahn. And apparently it was a young Ben Affleck, which I have not worked with Ben since, but I want to mention if I ever get to work with him that I worked on.
Nice.
It was Madeline Kahn was like, the kids were trying to get Madeline to find a new man or something like that.
Okay. He played one of the sons or something like that?
Yes, and then we had Cindy Eller, and this is a really important one.
Cindy Eller.
Cindy Eller. It was Kira Sedgwick was Cindy Eller, so Cinderella.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
Pearl Bailey was the fairy godmother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Jennifer Grey was one of the evil sisters. I don't remember the other evil sister because like 2 years later, Dirty Dancing came out. Jennifer Grey kind of blew up. Yeah. So it was a great way to get that kind of experience because to go from industrials to
well, you're telling a story right?
Right. Well, the industrials to the Blue Marble little films to after school specials, and then I was the second on Spike of Bensonhurst is the name of the movie.
Okay.
John Herron was the first. Yeah. And I did back then he didn't have a loader as a first and a second. So I was doing B camera. If we wanted to do 2 camera, sundown coverage, load all the mags, John would get the other cameras set up and I'd come out, pull focus for the shot.
Focus and then download.
And then go download and he'd wrap the 2 cameras. It's like, this is what we used to do all the time.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Two assistants, and so you go on. Here we are. We have 2 camera, 4 bodies, but 2 cameras basically. Two first, 2 seconds, a DIT, a loader, and a utility because we have so much more gear that we're bringing around. Video taps and transmitters and monitors, headsets. It's like, you can't. Nobody does the little things anymore.
Yeah. Well, this has really been great. We could go on for hours, I know, because you have a tremendous number of stories.
Might be multiple days. You never know.
Exactly. I'm going to thank you for doing this. And
pleasure.
I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody with and let you take us out. Advice for someone getting into the film industry today on how to succeed, or maybe something you wish you knew that you've learned since.
Be open to opportunities. You never know what, for instance, my film school, the teacher saying he's not going to hire anybody from the class, that wound up being an opportunity. I worked on a student film, and it was the cameraman wound up John Herron was the first, and the cameraman wound up owning a small lighting and grip company. He said, "Do you know anything about electricity?" I'm sure. And so I worked for him for a while. I worked on cables for him. I glazed a window, and then I used to drive his grip electric truck for a little bit because I was in the transition between being a camera assistant and a PA. But when you're starting out, you take the job you could get. So instead of being a PA, I was driving the truck and sometimes just acting like a driver and sometimes being the swing grip electric and working the set with the rest of the people and doing what I can to help them do the film. That opportunity came out of nowhere. Be open for opportunity. Be professional, be quiet, be calm. Don't be an asshole. And if you ask, David may never hear me say this, but when I'm asking the team for water or something, or I'll say, I'll defer, I'll say, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but is it possible? I try to not command people. I try to ask for their help. And to me, that's a really, how you treat people. Treat everybody on the, that's below you really nice, because they're going to be above you at some point. It's about mutual respect. We're all there to make a movie. I don't want to get a swollen head. It's like I try to be humble, and I try to support the DP and the director and the camera operator and production as modestly as I can. That's who I am.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.